Hello and salam UiTM di hatiku to Dr. Chalani. My name is Abigail Bitiana Sanggin. So today my group members and I will present to you about the unemployment issue in Malaysia. So I hope you enjoy this presentation. Sit belt and relax. So as according to the World Data Bank, in Malaysia we has around 32,365,998 populations in total. Recently, the unemployment issue has become the most hot issue that debated among our citizens, where the people who are willing to get the job, but they cannot get the job for themselves. So according to the World Data Bank, there were only 15,904,215 people are willing to get their job. As we can see, that this amount are still very little amount as compared to the populations that we have in Malaysia as for the current year of 2020. As in 2020, it was obviously the unemployment rate in Malaysia was increased into 4.55% as we are hit by the pandemic of COVID-19, where the peoples were subjected to close their premise, fired because the number of COVID-19 cases are increased in Malaysia, and in order to lower the cost of production. So the year of 2020 and 2021 as well were the most challenging year, as several sectors are fully closed as directed by the government. So it was undeniable that the rate of unemployment are increased from the year of 2020 and 2021 as well. But then this issue need to be considered as the impact of this issue could influence the economic sector as well as the unemployed citizens. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Janana Anabujang. In this video, I will explain about the theories related to the unemployment issue in Malaysia. There are several theories related to this issue in Malaysia. One of the theories related to this issue is the classical unemployment theory. This theory means the issue of unemployment caused by the government. The government has created labor laws to manage and safeguard labor rights in the job. This makes it difficult for employers to hire more workers. This is because the government has made rules to raise workers' wages. Therefore, employers will reduce workers and stop hiring new hires. Furthermore, the other theory that is related to this issue is the implicit contract theory. This theory exists to describe amount adjustments. It is one of the causes of the unemployment problem because the government does not allow labor pay cuts. This is because labor rights are under the control of the government. It's written in the labor laws. Therefore, employers should not deduct the salary of employees on a whim. Therefore, businesses make the choice to lay off some employees to save costs. Moreover, youth problems are also one of the theories that commonly happen in Malaysia. Young people lack the knowledge and skills of a job. Some of them are lazy to improve their skills and increase their knowledge. Lazy nature and fear are the root cause of the young people in finding work. Based on the above theories, the thing that can be summed up is the elevation factor of the unemployment issue. Two factors that can be summed up are individual factors and the labor market factors. Based on the theory of young people's problems, it's explained individual factor. If an individual has no effort and in improving skill and knowledge, then they will be unemployed forever. This explains more about individual factors. In addition, labor market factors can be explained based on the classical unemployment theory and the implicit contract theory. As the statement before, both of the theories are based on the government. Therefore, this also can be one of the factors of unemployment in Malaysia. Due to pandemic COVID-19, the issue is increasing from all groups, whether young or old. There are many difficulties due to this pandemic. The government is working to overcome this issue in a variety of ways. Furthermore, there were many new jobs created to earn income during the pandemic. Young people need to be courageous to venturing into the world of work. That's all from me. Thank you.
There are also impacts of unemployment to the young generation, and I will refer young generation more to the youth. Who is youth? Youth is defined as those between 15 to 40 years old, but the main focus of Malaysian development program is for those aged between 18 to 25. Unemployment among youth will impact their family, their socio-physical well-being, their physical well-being, and their surrounding communities. What is the impacts of unemployment among the young generation families? So, for example, there is a married couple who has no jobs and they have to search for another job. They will have a poor time management. So, what happen? They will have maybe like divorce, fight between husband and wife, abuse. Their children are not paying attention to, and maybe their children are likely to experience mental problem. And next, what is the impacts of unemployment to their social physical well-being and their physical well-being? So for their social physical well-being, maybe they will have lower self-esteem or no life satisfaction. Meanwhile, for their physical well-being, maybe they will have unhealthy eating habit that will cause to weight loss. Now, what is the impacts of unemployment among youth to the surrounding communities? Youth will have a low probability of involvement in any social participation, such as social gathering with friends or NGO or maybe charity organizations. We will move on to the impacts of unemployment to the older generation. I will refer them as the senior citizen. In this matter of unemployment, the older generation will refer more to those 60 years old and above. Similar to the young generation, older generation with unemployment will also impact their family, their socio-physical well-being, and the physical well-being. Unemployment among older generation will give several impacts to their family members, such as they will have depend only on their children to support them, and this will make their children stressed. Next, the elderly heads have to leave them stranded in a hospital or hand them over to the care center. And lastly, the older generation will have to use their family members' money to pay for the medication or treatment bills. Lastly, there are several impacts of unemployment among older generation to their physical well-being and the social physical well-being, such as having age discrimination, stress, weight loss, and fatigue.
My name is Priska Nataliana Dines, and today I'm going to present about the impacts of unemployment. There are several impacts of unemployment, and one of it is impacts toward politics. Government is losing the people's faith. This is because of the policy that was implemented by the government to the people can influence the country's development and productivity. The government promised the people to protect their welfare, but as the COVID-19 pandemic hit, the unemployment rate in Malaysia increased drastically. This had caused some stir among the people towards the government for betraying the people's trust. Therefore, the people might pressure the current government to step down or resign, as they believe that the current government did nothing for them. Secondly, unemployment issue could also cause political instability between the multiple political parties in Malaysia. This is said because Malaysia have multiple of political parties, and often if there is an issue involving the current government, the opposition party will take advantage of it by provoking the current government. Because of this action, political power struggle will happen, and that could lead to uncertain fate for the country. Thus, there will be a vote of non-confidence in order to elect new government to administer the country for the sake of the people. Now, the next impact is Impacts toward economic. Because of the outbreak of COVID-19, unemployment rate had also increased, and that caused the drop of productivity. When our productivity decreases, that same goes to our GDP, which is the gross domestic product, will also drop. Hence, if we slow down our economic growth, not only it troubles the country, but the people are highly affected too, as the standard cost of living is also increasing, but the employment rate is still the problem that we face today.
My name is Nadia Shafiqah binti Amin. So I will continue to discuss about the solutions to the issue. Nowadays, most sectors have been compelled to close temporarily as a result of the government's instructions to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. So, there are a variety of solutions that may be employed to tackle this issue. Among them is the government's implementations of a number of incentives. It could be ascribed to the financial assistance, which is capable of providing an opportunity for economic growth. For instance, the government allocated a total of 9 billion through the launch of the National Economic Regeneration Plan (PENJANA) in early June. Besides, the government decision to implement an economic stimulus package as well as the Bank Negara resolutions to lose a monetary policy are intended to manage the country economy. Next, the government's foreign recruiting program should be reviewed. Regarding our country's current precarious economic positions, employment should be given to the local people rather than the foreigners. This must be highlighted in order to guarantee that locals have work to spend the escalating cost of living. Nevertheless, exhibit and visits by businesses delegations to foreign nations should help the government's efforts to portray the country. Additional foreign ideas entering the country, in addition to the economic package already granted by the governments to address the fiscal problems, should most certainly stimulate the greater economic activities.
To summarize it all, Malaysia's unemployment rate is a very big, major, and worrying issue that must be recognized and addressed by the Malaysian government, which is especially particularly at times of the adversity such as the spread of the COVID-19, like right now. And the greater the unemployment rate in Malaysia, then more individuals will have to suffer financially, as most people really depend on their monthly wage to live in Malaysia, whether they work in the public sector or the private sector. And the Malaysia adolescents who are unable to be financially stable owing to the lack of the employment will have to suffer a very significant impact on their families, social and physical well-being, and also other factors as well. And aside from Malaysia's youth, the adults are also being affected by the country's unemployment rate. As a result, it produces social and familial issues among the adults, particularly the parents, such as divorce and also the abuse among the family members. In addition, the residents that are employed will be more desperate to find work in order to live a financially stable life. And this can lead to the individuals having to be more desperate and prioritizing their work above spending time with their family and friends. And also, because of the current COVID-19 outbreak, more individuals are getting dismissed and losing their jobs as a result of the country's uncertain economy and financial situation. And when the COVID-19 or the coronavirus struck down Malaysia, this can cause everyday activities to be disrupted, and Malaysia's unemployment rate has becoming skyrocketing as most Malaysian firms were forced to lay off the majority of their personnel as a result of the shutdown. And not to mention that because of this shutdown, the country's national employment rate has grown significantly. But in order to address and also to solve this problem, The Malaysian government has implemented a variety of strategies to combat this issue, which is unemployment rate in Malaysia. And one of them is through putting in place policy-based programs that can provide financial help. And these financial assistance may be characterized as assistance that can aid in the growth of a firm, whether they are a public or the private sector's one. And aside from these strategies, the Malaysian government had also implemented and established other approaches, which is, for example, like they already arranged some other financial arrangement to assist these individuals who have been affected in their everyday lives, such as paying their housing rent and other utilities, funding their school's expenses and educational fees, and so on. But based on the discussion that we discussed today, the employment rate should not be taken lightly. Although there have been a lot of different kind of approaches that have been done by the Malaysian government, as these problems really related to Malaysian financial life, which is this can gives a very big financial impact on the citizens' social life.